The slap landed before I even understood what she was saying. 1 second I was at the front table, smiling at my son in his suit. The next second my new daughter-in-law, Jenna, was standing over me with her hand still in the air, my cheek burning in front of a hall full of people. "Give me your apartment keys, now," she said. "If you're moving in with us, you don't need that old place anymore." The music kept playing, but the front of the hall went quiet. I could feel 130 eyes on my face. "My what?" I asked. "Your keys." She held out her palm. "This is our start as a married couple. We agreed you're signing your place over to us. I don't want you backing out." My son Ethan stood at her shoulder. He didn't say a word. That silence hurt worse than the slap. "Jenna," I said softly, "we never agreed to that. I said I'd help you too, not hand over my whole life." She leaned in so close I could smell her perfume. "Don't play dumb, Linda, you're old. You don't need a 2-bedroom in the city, we do, so stop being selfish and give me the keys." Someone near the cake whispered, "Is this for real?" My cheek burned, but the real fire was in my chest. I worked 3 jobs for that apartment. I painted those walls. I tucked Ethan into bed in that tiny back room. That place wasn't just property, it was my life. "I'm not giving you my keys," I said. I kept my hands folded so nobody would see them shake. Jenna's eyes went hard. She raised her voice. "Hear that, everyone? I invite her into our home out of the goodness of my heart, and she throws it in our faces. That selfish enough for you?" A few people laughed. Nobody stepped in. I looked at Ethan. "You okay with this?" I asked. "You okay with your wife talking to me like this on your wedding day?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Just to give her the keys, Mom, don't make a scene." There it was, not my little boy anymore, just another grown man telling me to be quiet and hand over what I built. I stood up slowly. My knees cracked, but my back stayed straight. "If you think I'm giving up my home because a girl in a white dress raised her voice at me," I said, "you really don't know your mother?" The second slap came so fast I barely saw her move. The sound bounced off the walls. Someone gasped. The DJ finally cut the music. I tasted blood at the corner of my mouth. For a second the room spun, then everything went sharp and cold. I picked up my purse. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just looked at Ethan one last time. "You chose her today," I said quietly. "Make sure she chooses you when this is over." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I walked past the tables, past the floral arch and the phones held up to record. The hall doors swung behind me with a heavy thud. Out in the parking lot, the air felt clean. My cheek was throbbing, but my head was clear. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a number I hadn't used in a long time, and hit call. When he picked up, I said, "Hey, it's Linda. Remember how I told you I might need you one day? Well, today's the day." He didn't hesitate. "Where are you?" "At Ethan's wedding hall," I said. "Come in 30 minutes, walk through the main entrance." "Got it," he said. I slipped the phone back into my purse, my hand steady now. Inside that hall, they thought they'd just slapped an old woman into line. They had no idea who I had just invited to the party. I didn't always feel like a stranger at my own child's wedding. Once it was just me and my boy against the whole world. When Ethan was little, we lived in a tiny 1-bedroom over a laundromat. I used to hang his school shirts on the shower rod and tell him, "One day, baby, you're gonna have more than this." I worked mornings at the diner, nights cleaning offices. Ethan would sit on the floor with his coloring books while we watched reruns on a fuzzy TV. We had nothing shiny, but we had peace. The apartment I have now, the one Jenna calls an old lady place, was the first time I signed a lease alone. 2 small bedrooms, a balcony, a view of a parking lot, and to me, it was a palace. Ethan grew up there. First day of middle school, he came out of the bathroom in a too big hoodie, hair sticking up. "Mom, don't walk me in," he begged. "That's lame." "You're my baby," I told him. "I get to be lame at least until you're taller than me." He shot past me in height the next year. But for a long time, he was still the kid who'd bring me burnt toast on Mother's Day and tape little notes to my coffee mug. So when he brought Jenna home for the first time, I really tried. She walked into my apartment like she was doing a house tour on TV. "Cute," she said, eyes going straight to the cabinets. "So this is rent-controlled? Wow, you're lucky. Places like this are impossible to get now." "It's home," I said. "Been hours a long time." She ran her fingers along the counter like she was already picturing where to put her blender. "You know, it'd be perfect for us. Young couple near the subway, low rent, we could save so much for a house." Ethan laughed, but there was this nervous edge to it. Babe, we're not kicking my mom out. She shrugged, smiling. I didn't say that. I just said it'd be perfect. That was the first tiny stone in my shoe. After they got engaged, the comments kept coming. At dinner one night, Jenna pushed her pasta around and said, "We really don't want to start married life in some basement apartment. And with student loans and everything, it'd just make sense to use what's already in the family." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean my lease is in the family now? Come on, Linda." She laughed like I was being dramatic. "We're all gonna be under one roof anyway. You wouldn't mind moving into the second bedroom at our place, right? You don't need to live alone at your age, it's not safe." Ethan cleared his throat. "Mom, it might actually be good. We could help you out, you wouldn't have to climb all those stairs anymore." "I've been climbing those stairs for 15 years, I said. "My knees complain, but they still work." I noticed something then. "Jenna never said your apartment?" She said the apartment, like it was this floating thing waiting to be claimed. One afternoon, I walked past the bedroom and heard them whispering. I didn't mean to listen, but the words froze me in place. "I'm just saying," Jenna hissed, "if she signs it over, that's like winning the lottery. We'd be dumb not to push a little." "She's my mom," Ethan said. "Just chill, okay? Then act like you're on my side," she snapped. "I didn't say marry a broke guy with a mom sitting on a golden lease for fun." Golden lease, that's what I was to her. Not Linda, not the woman who raised her future husband on tips and leftovers. Just a golden lease with a pulse. That's when the first crack opened in my chest, a tiny one, barely there. I didn't know yet how wide it would split or how hard I was going to make them pay for trying to cash me in. After that golden lease talk, I started watching. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet listening. Old ladies don't need spy gadgets, we have ears and time. At first it was small things. Jenna would ask weird questions when she thought they sounded casual. "So Linda," she said one Sunday, stirring her coffee like she was bored, "does your landlord ever come by, like check on stuff?" "Only when something breaks," I said. "Why?" She shrugged, "just wondering, it'd be annoying if he showed up while we were, making changes." "Changes to what?" I asked. She blinked. "To your safety, of course, new locks, new grab bars in the shower." "For you, sweet words, sour tone." Another day, I came home from the grocery store and found Ethan sitting at my kitchen table with a folder. He snapped it closed when I walked in. "You're home early," he said. "It's 3 o'clock, I answered. "Not exactly dawn patrol," he laughed too loud. Yeah, just going over some wedding stuff." I put the milk in the fridge, then turned back. "Wedding stuff with my name on it?" He froze for half a second. "Why would you say that?" "Because the last time I saw you this jumpy, you were 11 and hiding a broken lamp behind the couch." He relaxed a little. "Mom, seriously." "It's nothing." He kissed my cheek and hurried out, folder under his arm. A small thing, but my gut kept tugging my sleeve. One evening, about 2 weeks before the wedding, Jenna asked me to come over to their place to taste test cake samples. I almost didn't go, but my curiosity won. Their apartment was neat and staged, like it was waiting for a magazine camera. On the coffee table next to the cake boxes sat a laptop open to some online form. I wasn't trying to snoop, I was just setting down my purse. But a few words jumped out before Jenna slammed the screen half closed. "Change of occupancy, primary resident." My heart did a slow, heavy turn. "Sorry," she said quickly. "Just some boring tenant stuff for our building." I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Funny, looks a lot like my landlord's website." She kept her face smooth, but a little color rose in her cheeks. "They probably all look the same." I let it drop. Out loud. Later that night, back at my place, I sat at my own little table and pulled out the file folder I keep for everything that matters. Birth certificate, lease, old pay stubs, the final notice from the bank the year I almost lost it all. I ran my fingers over my lease. My name, my signature, the date. The small legal lines that said I was the tenant, not we, not family, just me. I took a picture of every page with my phone. A few days after that, I got my first piece of real evidence. I came home to find an envelope slid under my door. No stamp, just my name in messy blue ink. Inside was a photocopy of a form. On top it said, "Request to transfer occupancy / add additional residents." Under that, in typed letters, was my full name. Underneath were two lines, Ethan Carter's son, Jenna Carter, daughter-in-law. Below that, in black ink, was a shaky version of my signature. It looked like mine, but wrong, like someone had traced it from memory. My stomach dropped. I felt hot and cold at the same time. At the bottom was a date. It was from 3 days before, while I'd been at the salon getting my hair done for a bridal shower I hadn't even wanted. There was no landlord stamp, no approval. Just this ugly little copy, like someone was keeping proof in case I forgot what I agreed to. I called Ethan. "Hey, Mom," he said. "What's up? You at work?" I asked. "Yeah, on break." "Good. Then you've got time to tell me why my name is on a transfer form I never signed." Silence. I could hear him breathing. "Mom, it's not a big deal," he said finally. "Jenna just started the process. We were going to talk to you. It's just easier if we're on the lease too." "You mean instead of me?" I said. "No, with you. For now, you're overthinking this." Overthinking. That word they use when they want you to doubt your own eyes. I looked at the shaky fake signature again. My name twisted. "Ethan," I said slowly. "Do you really think I worked my whole life so a girl I've known for 5 minutes could slide herself into my home behind my back?" He sighed. "Mom, why do you always have to make everything a fight?" The line between us stretched thin. Right then, I knew two things. One, they were already playing dirty. And two, if they thought this was a fight now, they hadn't seen anything yet. I folded the paper, took a clear photo, and slipped the original into my folder. That night, I stopped hoping they'd come to their senses. That night, I started planning how to walk them straight into a storm they'd never forget. The night before the wedding, my phone lit up with a message from Jenna. 10:14 p.m. "Jenna, please bring all your keys tomorrow. We'll handle everything after the ceremony. Don't make this harder than it has to be." I stared at the screen a long time. Handle everything? Like I was another piece of old furniture to move. I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, Ethan texted. 10:19 p.m. "Ethan, Mom, please just cooperate tomorrow. She's really stressed. Don't ruin this for us, not for me and you, just us, the new team." I typed, "We'll talk in person," then erased it and put the phone face down. Instead, I pulled out my folder again. I slid the fake transfer form in behind my lease. I added the screenshots of those texts with the timestamps clear. I even took a picture of my bruised cheek in the bathroom mirror just in case. If they wanted to play dirty, I could play patient. The morning of the wedding, Jenna greeted me at the hall with a fake sweet smile. "You look nice," she said, eyes already scanning my purse. "Did you bring what we talked about?" "I brought what's mine," I said. She leaned closer. "Don't start today, just be grateful. We're giving you a chance to be part of our life." "I already have a life," I answered. "I built it before you were even born." Her smile dropped for half a second, then came back sharp. "Try not to make people uncomfortable, okay? This day is about us." It didn't feel like gaslighting yet, it just felt rude. The real twisting started after the slap. By the time I reached the parking lot, my phone was buzzing nonstop. First, a text from Ethan. "You didn't have to storm out like that. You embarrassed us." Then another. "She barely tapped you, Mom. You're making it sound like she attacked you." I touched my cheek. It was hot and swollen. My eyes stung, but not from tears. Then my cousin Maria called. "Linda, what happened?" she asked. "People are saying you slapped Jenna first and started screaming about money." I actually laughed. "So now I'm the one who slapped her?" "I don't know," Maria said, voice low. "Jenna's sister is telling everyone you refused to help them and called her a gold digger in front of the DJ." "I didn't even use those words," I said. "Not out loud." "Look, I'm not picking sides," Maria whispered. "But it's spreading fast. Her family is saying you came here ready to fight." I looked back at the hall doors. From outside, you'd never know there was a mess inside. Just flowers and soft music and people in nice clothes pretending everything was fine. "Thanks for telling me," I said. "Do me a favor, take some pictures inside, especially if they start talking about me." "Pictures of what?" she asked. "Of whatever they say is not a big deal later," I answered. "You'll know it when you see it." When I hung up, I scrolled through my screenshots again. The texts about keys, the fake form, the messages from last week. I opened one from Jenna that I'd forgotten about. "Last Tuesday, 6:02 p.m. Jenna, you should be happy we even want you near us. Most guys our age would just put their parents in a home." There it was. Their whole idea of me in one sentence. I took a slow breath and called the number I'd used back in part 1 again just to make sure. "Hey, it's me," I said when he picked up. "I'm already on my way," he replied. "Got the folder, got the copies, got the notes." "You sure you want to do this at the wedding?" I looked at the hall at the big happy sign with their names on it. "They wanted to make a show out of me," I said. "So we'll give them a show, just tell them the truth. I'll handle the rest." He chuckled softly. "You always were tougher than you looked, Linda." "Tougher and done being quiet," I said. When I walked back toward the entrance, the hall manager ran out to meet me. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked. "There's some tension inside." "I'm fine," I said, "just needed some fresh air." He shifted awkwardly. "The bride's family is saying you caused a scene. They asked if we can keep things calm so the ceremony can continue." "Tell them I won't touch their little fairy tale," I said. "Not until my guest gets here." "Your guest?" he asked. "You'll know him when you see him," I replied. Inside, they were already rewriting the story, painting me as the crazy old woman who couldn't let go. They twisted the slap into a misunderstanding, my refusal into selfishness, and my whole life into some obstacle they had to roll over to have their perfect start. They thought they were winning the story. They didn't realize I was the one holding the ending. And the ending was walking toward those doors 30 minutes out, carrying a folder that could tear their pretty little plans to pieces. 30 minutes feels long when your cheek is buzzing and your whole life is being twisted, but I waited outside that hall like I had all the time in the world. Through the glass doors, I saw them still laughing. The DJ had turned the music back on. Jenna was wiping fake tears, letting her friends hug her like she was the one who'd been attacked. Ethan stood by the bar, shoulders tight, checking his phone again and again. Not one of them came out to check on me. At the 29th minute, a dark sedan pulled into the parking lot. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a man in a navy suit, gray at the temples, leather briefcase in hand. Even from a distance, he carried himself like someone used to being listened to. I walked toward him. "Right on time, Mr. Lane." "Of course," he said. "You brought your copy?" I tapped my purse. "Right here. Plus screenshots and one bruised cheek." He looked at the faint mark on my face. "We'll keep this clean," he said. "No yelling, no chaos, just facts." "Oh, there'll be chaos," I answered. "It just won't be mine." We walked back to the entrance together. The hall manager's eyes widened. "Ma'am," he asked. "This is my attorney," I said. "He also works with the building where I live." "Is there some kind of problem?" he asked. "There was about to be," Mr. Lane said. "Luckily, Miss Carter called before anyone pushed things too far." The music thumped through the doors as we stepped inside. Warm lights, clinking glasses, fake smiles. Heads turned the second they saw me. Jenna's mother hissed in her ear. Jenna spun around, ready for round two. Then she saw Mr. Lane beside me. All the color drained from her face. Behind her, Ethan went pale too. "What is he doing here?" he muttered. Mr. Lane walked to the small stage where the DJ booth sat and gave the DJ a look that said, "Turn it off." The music cut mid-beat. The hall fell quiet. "Good afternoon," Mr. Lane said, smooth and calm. "Apologies for the interruption. My name is Daniel Lane. I am Miss Linda Carter's attorney. I also represent her landlord in some rental matters." The room shifted. People glanced at each other. Jenna stepped forward, smile glued on. "This really isn't the time for this, Linda," she said through her teeth. "You're making it weird." "I thought today was all about truth and vows," I said. "Seems like the perfect time." Mr. Lane opened his briefcase and took out a folder. On top was a copy of the transfer form they'd tried to slide past me, mounted on stiff board. He placed it on a music stand, turned toward the front tables. "This form," he said, "was submitted to change the occupancy and rights to Miss Carter's rent-controlled apartment. It lists her as agreeing to add 2 additional residents with an eye toward transferring the primary tenancy." People murmured. The words rent-controlled and transfer woke them up. He tapped the shaky signature at the bottom. "Unfortunately," he went on, "this signature is not hers." Jenna laughed, high and thin. "Okay, wow, are we doing courtroom theater now? Linda, you must be confused. We filled that out together, remember? You just forgot? Gaslighting, live on stage." I stepped closer. "No, sweetheart, I remember exactly where I was that day. At the salon. At the same time this form was supposedly signed across town." Mr. Lane held up another page. "Along with the form, we have text messages pressuring Miss Carter to bring all her keys today and talking about handling everything after the ceremony." We've also noted an incident of physical aggression witnessed by multiple guests. Now the room really shifted. Some people looked at Jenna, others looked at Ethan. This is insane, Jenna snapped. She's freaking out because we asked her to live with us and not waste space. We were doing her a favor. She's old, she should be grateful. There it was. The quiet part said loud. Mr. Lane nodded once like he'd been waiting for that line. Thank you, Mrs. Carter, he said calmly. That makes my next part much simpler. Mr. Lane didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Mrs. Carter, he said to Jenna, just so everyone understands. You have just stated in front of over 100 witnesses that you believe Miss Linda Carter is old, confused, and should be grateful you want her near you. You also said she agreed to give up her home, correct? Jenna's eyes darted around the room. I mean, yeah, she said she'd help us. She knows we need a place, she just forgets details. Funny thing about forgetful people, he said. They often remember to keep copies. He opened the folder and pulled out another sheet. This, he continued, is a letter from the landlord's office, dated last week. It says they received this transfer form. He held up the board again, and noticed the signature didn't match previous documents on file. They sent it to my office to verify. He turned the letter so the front table could see. My name, the landlord's letterhead, the date, clear as day. Under the rent regulations, he went on, forging or attempting to forge a tenant's signature to gain control of a rent-controlled unit can be considered fraud. It can also get all involved parties barred from that tenancy in the future. A low murmur rolled through the room. Someone whispered, fraud. Someone else said, at their own wedding. Jenna's mother shot up from her chair. This is ridiculous, she cried. They're young, they don't know all the rules, you're trying to ruin their day over a form. Mr. Lane didn't even look at her. No, he said. They tried to ruin Miss Carter's life over a form. He stepped aside and looked at me. Linda, I walked up next to him. My cheeks still hurt, but my voice didn't shake. I want to make something very clear, I said, scanning the faces. Some looked away, some leaned in. Ethan looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. I was willing to help them, I went on. I was ready to give them money for a down payment one day. I even thought about letting them share my place for a while so they could save. I never said they could take it. I never said they could sign my name on anything. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small white envelope. I'd written his name on it weeks ago when I still believed we were on the same team. This, I said, holding it up, was a check, $10,000, my savings from years of double shifts. I was going to give it to my son tonight as a wedding gift. A ripple went through the crowd. I opened the envelope, took out the check, and tore it straight down the middle. Then again, 4 little pieces fell like confetti onto the stage. Jenna gasped. Ethan stared at the shredded pieces like they were part of his heart. You don't get to hit me in front of everyone, I said calmly. You don't get to fake my name, call me crazy, and still collect a prize. That's not how this works. Mom, Ethan choked. You can't be serious, we need that. We were counting on you. There's your first mistake, I said. You counted on my money more than you counted on my respect. Jenna stepped forward, voice trembling with anger. You're overreacting. All we wanted was a better start. You're being selfish. You'd rather keep some dusty old apartment than help your own son. I laughed once, short and sharp. That dusty old apartment kept a roof over your husband's head when his father walked out, I said. Those walls heard every night I cried and still got up at 4 a.m. to go to work. You don't get to talk about it like it's a piece of trash on the curb. Mr. Lane cleared his throat. For everyone's information, he added, as of this morning, we filed a notice with the landlord. It states that Miss Carter does not consent to any transfer or addition of tenants and that any further attempts to alter her lease without her direct involvement will be treated as fraud. He looked straight at Jenna and Ethan. Furthermore, he said, Miss Carter has instructed us to add a note to her file. Under no circumstances is control of her unit to pass to either of you through any informal family arrangement. If she ever leaves, the unit goes back to the building, not to you. Jenna's jaw dropped. You can't do that, she said. She just did, Mr. Lane replied. Ethan finally snapped. Why are you doing this? He shouted. You're punishing us in front of everyone. You could have handled this in private. You slapped me in public, I said quietly. You tried to steal from me in secret. This is me matching the energy. I turned to the room. If any of you heard I was crazy or overdramatic today, I said, remember this. Crazy people don't hire attorneys and collect receipts. They just scream. I didn't scream, I took notes. A few people actually nodded. Someone at the back muttered, good for her. I faced Ethan one last time. You chose a wife who sees me as a problem to solve, I told him. Not a mother to honor, that's your choice. Today I make mine. His eyes filled with tears. What choice? The one where I stop being your backup plan, I said. I stepped down from the stage and walked toward the doors. Behind me, the wedding music stayed off. The only sound was whispering and the quiet crack of Jenna's perfect little fairy tale falling apart. And I wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. I didn't wait to see what they did next. While the whispers rose and the DJ stood there frozen, I walked straight out of that hall with Mr. Lane beside me. The doors closed behind us with a soft thud, like a book finally snapping shut. Outside, the sun was starting to set. My cheek ached, my heart ached more, but under all that there was something else, relief. So what now? Mr. Lane asked. Now, I said, now I stop leaving doors open for people who try to kick them down. He gave me a little smile. I'll file the follow-up paperwork Monday. The landlord will put it in black and white, no transfer, no family arrangements. If they try anything again, they won't just be embarrassed, they'll be in real trouble. Good, I said. I want that apartment to be the one thing they can never get their hands on. On the ride home, my phone wouldn't stop shaking in my bag. Calls, texts, notifications. I ignored them all until I was back in my own kitchen with the door locked and my shoes off. Finally, I set the phone on the table and let the messages roll in. Ethan, Mom, what did you do? Everybody's talking about it. You ruined our wedding. Jenna, you are sick. You need help. No normal mother would humiliate her son like that. Jenna again, I hope you enjoy dying alone in that ugly little box. I stared at that last line for a long moment. Then I took a screenshot and saved it in a new folder on my phone. I named the folder Who They Really Are. Then I opened my contacts, tapped Ethan's name, and slid down to favorites. I removed him. The next morning, Maria came over with a bag of donuts and eyes full of gossip. Well, she said, dropping into a chair, you sure know how to shut down a dance floor. Good, I said. The music was terrible anyway. She snorted. Then her face softened. Look, Linda, some people left after your attorney spoke. Jenna's uncle said he's not giving them the money he promised anymore, said he's not investing in fraud. His words, not mine. I felt a small, cold spark of satisfaction. Her sister posted a big crying video online, Maria went on, talking about how you attacked Jenna and stole her wedding. But people in the comments are asking about the slap. Someone uploaded a clip from their phone. You can hear the smack, you can see your face. So the internet knows my son let his wife hit me, I said. Good, saves me a phone call. Maria hesitated. Are you sure you want to go this hard? He is still your boy. I looked around my apartment, the photos on the wall, the worn couch, the little plant by the window Ethan gave me in 5th grade. He was my boy, I said softly. Yesterday he made it very clear I'm just his retirement plan. I pulled another envelope from the drawer and slid it across the table. What's this? She asked. Paperwork, I said. I had Mr. Lane update my will last month when I started to get that bad feeling. I didn't tell anyone. She opened it, eyes widening as she read. You left the apartment to go back to the building if you pass, she said. No right to take over, and your savings, Linda, you moved the main part to a scholarship fund for kids from this neighborhood. Kids who work double shifts and still show up to class, I said. Kids who know what it feels like to be told they're lucky to have anything at all. And Ethan? She asked quietly. I left him a box, I said. A box, she frowned. In my closet, I answered. It has pictures. Notes he wrote me as a kid, a copy of that fake form with his name under it. I left a letter on top. What does it say? Maria whispered. That he doesn't get a second chance to choose me over money, I said. That he traded a lifetime of support for one greedy scheme. Maria let out a long breath. That's it cold. Good, I said. Warm didn't get their attention. My phone buzzed again. This time a different name flashed. Unknown number, I answered. Hello? An older woman's voice came on the line. Is this Linda Carter? Yes. This is Mrs. Harris, she said. I was at the wedding. I'm Jenna's aunt. I braced myself. I just wanted to say, she continued. I saw what happened. The whole thing. If you ever need someone to say it on record, I will. I have a daughter your age. If she slapped me like that, I'd have done worse than you did. For the first time since the slap, my throat tightened for a different reason. Thank you, I said. I might take you up on that. When we hung up, I stood in the middle of my little apartment and listened to the quiet. No wedding music, no insults, no begging texts for money. Just my own breathing and the hum of my fridge. They wanted to take this place from me. Instead, I was about to make it the one place they would never feel welcome again. And I knew exactly how to drive that point in so deep they'd feel it every time they looked at a set of keys. 2 days after the wedding, they came for the keys again. I heard them before I saw them, fists hitting the front door of the building, Jenna's voice echoing up the stairwell like a fire alarm. Linda, open up, we know you're in there. I was sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and my folder open. I didn't move. The buzzer rang 3 times in a row, long and angry. I pressed the intercom button. Yes, it's us, Ethan said, breathless. Let us in. No, I said. There was a pause like they couldn't process that simple word. What do you mean, no? Jenna screeched. This isn't a prison, you can't keep us out. We're family. This is my home, I answered. Not a bus station, you don't get to walk in and out anymore. Ethan tried a softer tone. Mom, please, we just want to talk. You didn't have to bring a lawyer to our wedding. You made us look like criminals. You did that part yourselves, I said. The lawyer just handed you a mirror. Jenna jumped back in. You're being dramatic. We just sped up a process that was going to happen anyway. You're old, you don't need all this space. Why can't you care about our future? Because you tried to erase mine, I said. I could hear her swearing under her breath. Ethan's voice got tight. So that's it, he said. You're cutting us off. Over one piece of paper and one little slap? I actually smiled at that. You still think it was about a slap, I said. That's the problem. I pressed the intercom again. Listen carefully because I'm only saying this once. Silence. You do not come to my apartment uninvited, I said. You do not call me for money. You do not tell people I'm crazy or forgetful. If you need something from me, you go through Mr. Lane. That's his number on the card he handed you at the wedding. From now on, you can talk to me the same way you talk to the bank on paper. You're not serious, Ethan whispered. Oh, I'm very serious, I said. You wanted to treat me like a wallet instead of a mother. Congratulations, I'll act like a wallet. Cold, closed, no longer in your pocket. Jenna lost it then. You're a bitter old woman, she shouted. No wonder you're alone. Nobody's going to take care of you when you fall. You'll come crawling back. Write down today's date, I said calmly. When that day comes and I still don't crawl, you can remember I warned you. I took my finger off the button and let them yell at the empty air. Downstairs, the building manager stepped outside. You two need to leave, he told them. She filed a harassment note. If you keep this up, we'll call the cops. I watched from the window as they finally walked away. Ethan looked back once. I didn't wave. That afternoon, I went to the community center 3 blocks over, the one with the peeling paint and the little bulletin board full of lost dog flyers and tutoring ads. Inside, a woman at the desk looked up. Can I help you? Yes, I said. I heard you have a small scholarship fund for local kids, ones who want to study but can't afford it. We do, she said. It's tiny though. We cover maybe 1 or 2 students a year with book money. We wish we could do more. I set my purse on the counter and pulled out a cashier's check. The same amount I had torn up at the wedding, plus what I'd been saving quietly on the side. Her eyes widened. Ma'am, this is enough to make it more than tiny, I said. I want it set up as a fund for kids who work hard and don't have anyone to back them up. No family strings, no guilt. She swallowed. Are you sure? We can put your son's name on it or your family. No, I cut in. Put my name on it and the name of this neighborhood. That's who raised me. She nodded slowly, eyes shining. We'll make it count. She called someone from the back, a skinny boy in a faded hoodie, maybe 17. He had tired eyes but a polite voice. This is Malik, she said. He's one of the students on our list if we get enough funding. Wants to be an electrician? He shook my hand. Nice to meet you, ma'am. His palm was rough from work. It felt familiar. Nice to meet you too, I said. I know what it's like to be young and broke and still trying. I'm tired of throwing help at people who think they're owed. I'd rather help someone who understands cost. He smiled, small but real. I won't waste it, he said. I know, I answered. That's why you're getting it? On my way home, I passed a cafe near the subway and saw them through the window, Ethan and Jenna, hunched over a laptop, faces tight. A pile of unopened envelopes sat beside them, bills by the look of it. Jenna saw me first, her eyes narrowed. Ethan turned, and for a second our eyes met. He looked from me to the scholarship papers tucked under my arm, then back to my face. He knew I could see it. Somewhere inside, he knew the future I'd once planned for him was already in someone else's hands. I didn't go in. I just kept walking, my keys in my pocket, the weight of them familiar and solid. They wanted my home. They wanted my savings. They wanted my quiet. They got none of it, and I still had one last thing left to take from them. 6 months after the wedding, the bruise on my cheek was gone. The bruise on my heart wasn't. But it had changed shape. It didn't burn anymore. It felt more like a scar, tough, solid, a reminder that skin grows back stronger where it tore. Life didn't stop for their drama. Bills came. The bus still ran late. The guy downstairs still smoked on the fire escape and pretended he wasn't. Twice a week, I walked to the community center. The scholarship fund they named after me had its own little flyer now, the Linda Carter Second Chance Fund. Every time I saw that cheap piece of paper taped to the wall, it hit me. This is where my wedding gift went, not into a black hole of entitlement, into kids who worked double shifts and still showed up with their homework done. Malik kept his word. He came by once a month to update me like I was his aunt. Passed my first exam, he said, grinning, grease on his hands. Did wiring on a real job last week, didn't burn the place down. I laughed. That's a solid start. You really saved me, you know, he said once. Nobody in my family had that kind of money. I was just gonna keep hopping from job to job. I didn't save you, I told him. You were already fighting. I just handed you a better weapon. He hugged me before he left. That hug felt more like family than anything I'd gotten from my actual son in years. Speaking of Ethan, he never came to my door again, not after the building manager warned them. But he found other ways to reach me. 2 weeks after the wedding, a letter arrived from Mr. Lane's office. Inside was a note in Ethan's handwriting. Mom, I'm sorry things got so out of hand. Jenna admits the slap was too much, but you didn't have to blow it up like that. We're drowning in debt. The apartment would have fixed everything. Can't we forget the legal stuff and just start over? We're your family, please. No, I'm sorry for trying to take your home. No, I'm sorry for calling you crazy. Just we're drowning and fix this for us. I wrote a short reply and had Mr. Lane send it back. Ethan, I am not alone. I am not a prize. I am not a spare life you keep in the closet in case yours falls apart. When you can speak to me without mentioning money, property, or what I owe you, Mr. Lane will let me know. Until then, consider this my answer. Mom, no apology, no soft landing, just a closed door in ink. Word got around the family. At Maria's birthday barbecue months later, I walked into the backyard and saw them at the far table, Ethan and Jenna, sitting stiff, eyes on their plates. Some of our relatives greeted me with awkward half-smiles. Some hugged me tight and whispered, "You did what you had to do." Mrs. Harris, Jenna's aunt, came over and kissed my cheek. "You look good," she said. "Strong, I sleep better," I answered. "Turns out peace is quiet when you lock the right people out." Across the yard, Ethan looked up. For a moment, our eyes met. He started to stand, then hesitated, like he wasn't sure if he had the right. He didn't. He took a few steps toward me anyway. Jenna grabbed his arm. I watched her lips move. "Don't beg," she said. "She chose money over you." The funny thing was, she was right and wrong at the same time. I didn't choose money over my son. I chose myself over the version of him who saw me as a walking wallet. He stopped halfway and turned back to his table. Sat down, didn't try again. Later that night, Maria walked me home. "You ever think about forgiving him?" she asked softly. "I have forgiven him," I said. "I just haven't forgotten him. Those are two different things." She frowned. "You don't miss him at all." I looked up at my building. The windows glowed warm. My plant was still alive. My couch was still ugly and comfortable. My keys were heavy and cool in my hand. "I miss the boy he used to be," I said. "The one who taped little notes to my coffee mug. That boy doesn't live in that man anymore. I mourned him already." We reached my door. I unlocked it, then paused. "You know what the cruelest thing I ever did to them was?" I asked. Maria shook her head. "I stopped arguing," I said. "I stopped explaining. I stopped trying to prove the truth. I just let the consequences sit with them day after day, every time another door stayed closed. Inside, my apartment smelled like lemon cleaner and old books. My home. My choice, I hung my keys on their hook right where they'd always been, and for the first time in a very long time, I didn't feel like something they could take. I felt like something they never deserved in the first place. Watch next, pick a video on screen, and hit subscribe. Thank you so much guys for your support. Comment your name with your city. I will give you a shout out in next video.